Welcome back in here to The Meltdown. I'm Tim, that is Tyler, and we make up this dynamic duo that's with you every single day live, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. Weekdays, I should mention there. We're brought to you by our title sponsor, MyBookie, and this is a showdown between two major movies that have opened up on the exact same weekend. It is Disney's Mufasa, The Lion King, which is a prequel to the 2019 computer generated but still live action animation, whatever category you want to put it in, remake of The Lion King, the classic animated feature from the 90s. And then you have Sonic 3, which is a third movie in a franchise that got off to a really rocky start when the first images of Sonic got posted online and fans revolted for what the character looked like until they decided to make the proper changes, take into the account the passion of the fan base, and here we are with this third Sonic movie opening up this week with a franchise best preview window there on Thursday going into the weekend. I have seen Mufasa, Tyler has seen Sonic and Mufasa, and we're here to tell you which one of these wins the weekend in the battle of what it'll do at the box office, critically, commercially, with audiences, how they'll react. So we're looking very forward to getting into this battle until the bitter end. Both of these, Tyler, are family movies. So
Yes.
they're both really targeting the same groups. I'm surprised neither one of these moved, especially with the upcoming holiday where on Christmas Day there's going to be a onslaught of films being released as well. It's a very busy time at the Cineplex. Talk about your hype going into Sonic 3 and why it's been billed as sort of that most anticipated entry of the franchise to date.
So this takes a lot of story beats from Sonic Adventure 2 and Shadow the Hedgehog. These are two fan favorite games, one of which is, Sonic and Shadow, and it's more of a traditional Sonic game. And Shadow the Hedgehog being this sort of early 2000s edgy remake. It's a very odd point in time in a very odd game, but there were a lot of imagery that people wanted to see from that game in the movie, like Shadow with his gun, like Shadow's relationship with Maria. And these are just major moments in the franchise, not just for the story of the characters, but for these characters' emotions as well. The relationship with Maria is the entire hook behind Shadow's character arc.
So definitely the right time to introduce Shadow into the mix.
Yes.
Now, Knuckles already been a part of this with Idris Elba playing that role. Great casting there. It sounds like
Knocks it out of the park.
it
Oh
sounds
my
like
gosh.
you love the casting across the board, obviously, with Keanu jumping into the fray here. Sounds like that's a real high point for you. I can't really run through a lot of the voice cast for Mufasa as really standing out. Mads Mikkelsen, I'm a
Mhm.
big Mads Mikkelsen fan. Obviously, his work in Casino Royale, tons of stuff. Rogue One, I really like him in Mufasa, but I don't think Mads Mikkelsen is near the draw for the role he played in that film as the main villain as what you're getting with Keanu playing your boy there that's been over your left shoulder here for a hot minute.
Oh yeah, I mean, he just absolutely embodies the character to a T. Keanu reportedly studied the character of Shadow to better prepare for his role, and it really shows. You listen to like maybe two lines when Shadow's on screen, and you say, "Yep, that is Shadow. That's not somebody playing Shadow. They have captured this character." And they really did that with all the characters.
Let's talk about passion. Both
Hmm.
fan bases, Lion King fans and Sonic fans, they both have extreme passion for these franchises. The original Lion King animated fare was something that so many in my generation grew up with, and it was really looked at as being sort of the king of Disney animation there until we started getting into the Pixar era. And I really think with the Broadway adaptation and all the different elements of Lion King fandom that Mufasa could have been primed for a really outstanding production that meant something. And in my opinion, Mufasa is just very generic Lion King fare. The battles that you see within there, there's a lot of teeth and a lot of growling, but there's really not that level of stake that you have in the original Lion King and even the remake, knowing what happens there, because you know which characters are going to end up making it into Lion King lore, and you know which ones are pretty much going to be disposable in this movie. So it takes away some of the stakes, and the fight choreography is very generic. it There's not a lot of room to breathe in Mufasa. You're just constantly up close on a lion's face for the most part. There are some wide shots that look breathtaking, by the way, where you're like, oh man, all of this, once again, created by a computer, but none of them really feel narratively satisfying.
Nope.
It's it's just a very, if you want to hang out in this world for a little while, we're going to bring you that. But I couldn't justify any type of impact in my life that Mufasa had. The music from Lin-Manuel Miranda, right? Pretty good, but with the stakes of the characters and the story being what they were, none of those songs really hit with a level of emotion that felt like it mattered. It was a completely opposite emotional reaction in your Sonic screening that you witnessed at this fan event where people were
Oh yeah.
supposedly losing their minds.
Oh my gosh. And now this is to be expected somewhat because it is a fan screening. The sample size is the diehard Sonic fans that wanted to see this early. So not apples to apples with the general audience, but still when Sonic and Shadow fight, when you see Super Sonic or Super Shadow on screen, people were losing their ever loving minds. This makes the Avengers on your left moment just not even matter. It was a
Oh,
dull roar weak compared to
look,
this Sonic event.
Sonic 3 is already crushing Disney enough this weekend. Do you have to go after Avengers Endgame that way too? You have to just go for the Disney death blow?
I
What's
mean,
wrong with you?
nothing's wrong with me. I mean, Sonic just delivered to
Right,
all the fans what Marvel has wished they could do for the past few years. And that is why people were going
okay,
crazy because you mentioned how this franchise started. It started with the ugly Sonic. Nope, let's scrap that. Delay the movie, get the character right, and now by the time Sonic 3 comes around, they're making an ugly Sonic Christmas sweater to kind of commemorate the holidays and
okay.
also joke around at how far they've come.
Let's get into some heart then, because that's where Mufasa may come across with a little bit of a death blow to you because um this movie, it really at times doesn't resonate with a lot of heart. I can't fake it. I'm sorry. I tried to deliver some sort of outstanding thing here. I wanted Mufasa to matter. This was my dog in the fight. For me, it was Mufasa weekend. For you, it was Sonic weekend. And I can't come on here and champion a movie that has almost zero passion behind it right now. It is such a lethargic experience. It's not a bad movie. Let me just be clear. It's not bad. It just feels meaningless.
It is aggressively mediocre.
It is just very average. It's like a meal where you're eating and you're like, I'm not even that hungry, but I mean, it's fine, but I'm not even really wanting to eat right now. That's how I felt during Mufasa. And I can't get on here and be anything other than authentic. And Tyler, I really wanted to hit you over the head with like Mufasa shows the heart of the year. It doesn't.
Mufasa has the heart of a lion, which no,
Correct.
it was boring.
It
I felt
was.
like Captain Quint from Jaws watching that. It's just like these lions look, they have eyes that are black like a doll's eyes.
Yeah,
They're dead inside,
that is.
and you just don't get the right emotion, the right heart, like you mentioned from the story. It's just kind of there. But
You're
that's
not
not to
wrong.
say that Mufasa is just all bad. There were some good points. I really liked how much Rafiki and Zazu were included in this movie. And Zazu, I think, had one of the best lines of the movie, which is once they all get together, he goes, "All right, now there's five of us. Let's all go around and say a fun fact about ourselves." And that,
There
that made me laugh out loud. That's genuinely a good line.
I laughed 0 times during Mufasa, and that's unfortunate because there are a lot of jokes in there, and I just found myself every time there was a joke on screen, my reaction was, So it wasn't the best time for me. I will say I thought that they paid respects to James Earl Jones and his legacy with the
Yes.
character in a very passionate way there right off the bat. And I think that that's really good. And there are times where you kind of get swept up in a little bit of the family feels, for those that have that sort of familial trauma in their life. You can kind of feel a little bit of that resonating. But for me, for the most part, Mufasa is a pretty flat experience, and it
Yep.
sounds like Sonic is a heck of a time. It sounds like I picked the wrong
You
franchise to battle on
certainly
behalf of.
did.
So, in this
Mm.
versus, I think commercially it's gonna go to Sonic, I think critically it's gonna go to Sonic, and I think in terms of fan appetite, we are much more likely to get way more Sonic here that's going to excite people
Well,
than a prequel to even Mufasa. So,
people stayed through the credits because there was a post-credits scene hinting some new characters that would show up in Sonic 4.
gosh.
And once again, people lost their ever-loving mind because they are fan favorite characters. I'm not going to spoil it here just in case people have not gone to see Sonic, but wow, they are really doing the most for the fans, for the people who are giving them the opportunities to make this movie, and fans are just being rewarded left and right from this franchise.
We've done a couple of versus videos now. We did the Terrifier versus Joker 2 video, and it was a TKO on behalf of Terrifier
Oh yeah,
3.
yeah.
Another third entry delivering a TKO, and that is going to be Sonic 3 as your winner this weekend. Is that the one you'll be checking out? Let us know in the comment section below because it really does feel like a slam dunk victory for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which is currently in theaters, compared to a a warrantless Mufasa experience that could never quite get across the messaging of why the movie needed to exist in the first place. That's going to do it for us here in this versus discussion of Mufasa the Lion King versus Sonic the Hedgehog 3. We want to once again thank our title sponsor, that is MyBookie. If you're into contests, you can bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. They're at mybookie.ag. Make sure you use promo code next round for that first time deposit bonus. Once again, where you can bet on play on anything, anywhere, anytime, only with our friends there at MyBookie. We're the Meltdown, here with you live weekdays, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern.